I'm not sure if Matej is ready. Or they're coming on the left side, the right side. Hey, we're having fun regardless.
Yeah.
We'll also bring on Jaroslav Honzik. He drives for Yaz Heat. Oh, there we go, there's Matej.
I'm here.
If you pop yourself over there somewhere, sure. Thank you very much. Jaroslav Honzik, everybody loves Jaroslav. Unfortunately, he's not bought the dog. There he is, always smiling. Makes you sick, doesn't it? Unfortunately, Richard Arnaud is not able to join us today from Race Clutch, which is a huge shame. And well, Suellio is already out there. He's no time for messing around. He is a driver coach for Logitech G. Well, first of all, chaps, how are we doing? We all good?
Can't complain. All good.
It's really good. It's really nice to be here.
Yeah, it's really awesome to be here, especially since this is my first time attending the Sim Racing Expo. So yeah, it's that much nicer to be here because of that, yeah.
What's your first impressions? Let's just get out of the way.
About the event,
yeah,
it's just a dream, man. There's a red Porsche right in front of us here.
I think we're going to drive it later.
Just saying.
Well, where did that come from?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like this insanely huge event. So many people that generally don't see each other in person, like sharing the passion like that. It's my first event, a sim racing event like that, and it's like living a dream.
Whoever performs the best on this panel gets to do a couple of laps of the hall and that, by the way, just to let you know.
Yeah, I saw like a big empty hall.
Yeah,
there.
Sure, yeah.
Give me some donuts.
Perfect for these cars, yeah,
or
definitely.
You can dodge the retro cars out there. I'm sure they'll love that.
Yeah.
Right, so we're going to bring some questions out then. I'm going to try and have questions where we just have a little chat, basically, where we're all involved, not necessarily speaking directly to you. That's it, get comfortable. Love to see that. Any beers? Any beers? No beers. Okay, cool. So the first question really is, well, we've already asked, what do you think of the Sim Racing Expo? But obviously, you have pretty much tried everything in terms of wheels and stuff. Is there anything here particularly that you're excited to see or do?
I can start?
Yeah, of course, Jardier.
Go like 1, 2, 3,
You guys, just do what you need to do.
Yeah, like first of all, like this is such a nerd for sim racing place, and I'm so happy to be here as well because, as you were saying, it's amazing. Because I remember back in the day when you had only CRT screens and everything, we were going to LAN parties with friends and playing sim racing games, and it was so much fun. And this is basically like the same thing. So for me, the first thing is to meet friends and meet my teammates and follow influencers and fans and everything. And then in terms of stands, I'm sold because I have a friend working at Acetec, so therefore I'm looking forward to test everything there, because this is one of the things I never tested yet. So
it's an incredible stage as well.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous.
I think one thing that's very important is the competition. The competition makes everyone work harder and develop, and the quality of everyone is just skyrocketing at this point. So there's just so many options available, and all the companies are getting like everyone going DD, everyone going load star, everyone getting to the slightest detail. So it's good for everyone. It's good for the community. It's sim racing community is just blowing up right now.
Yeah, competition is really important, especially since this is a really, although it's a niche industry, let's say, it's an industry that catches a lot of people, A lot of people are involved, a lot of enthusiasts are involved, and this is something that's really, really, really important, driving products forward, driving brands forward in terms of the communicating with those enthusiasts, those users. So it's really cool to see everyone at one place, everyone talking to each other, communicating, improving their products, getting feedback, and so it's a really nice harmony, let's say, to have. It's a really good vibe.
Yeah. I'm going to go straight back to you, actually, because I'm going to ask you, where did the enthusiasm come for content creation? And you have an incredible story, because it didn't really start specifically with sim racing.
No, we didn't start with sim racing. My history began basically in IT as a writer, as a journalist for an IT magazine.
Oh, maybe the same then.
Yeah, I tested a lot of like PC hardware stuff, so graphics cards, CPUs, you name it. And my love for racing cars in general, it was since I was probably this big, so it just naturally tilted over into sim racing, and then one day the idea popped in my head, why don't I just do sim racing on my channel? It feels natural to do it, So I slowly shifted from PC tech to sim racing hardware in particular. So I do a lot of testing of hardware, reviews, feedbacking a lot of different brands, and yeah, mostly trying out stuff. Not racing that much. I do race in my free time, of course, yeah, but I don't feature it as much on my channel as I do hardware stuff and trying different pedals, wheelbases, rigs, setups, everything, just matching everything.
Yeah, Suellio, yours is a little bit different, of course. You're also a driver coach. I will come to you because I want to hear about the ESL Go 4 Cups. I want that brought back up for sure. But yeah, you obviously do your content creation on Twitch, but being that driver coach as well, where are the challenges for you in that?
Finding the balance, finding the time. Because if you want to go esports, you have the data of like the guys who are doing the World Championship PESC in iRacing, they spend 70 hours per round. That's 35 hours per week. If you want to go to that end, you have to spend that amount of time, and then you don't have the remaining time to do other stuff. So I'm coaching. The time I'm coaching, I'm not practicing. The time I'm practicing, I'm not creating content. Or, so for me, as soon as I realized that coaching was becoming my main thing, my job, that made me quit my piano career, I realized that I could not focus on pure performance and coaching at the same time. I would have to find a balance. So it's a consistent adaptation, and every month is different. Like there's a week where I spend 30 hours and I farm iRating and I go for competitions and stuff. There's a week where I do 25 coaching sessions, or I spend like all my mornings writing the book or recording the course. So it's like I can't find a specific balance. That's the most difficult challenge for me. It's so much content that you have to post every day on Instagram, and I post on TikTok, I post on YouTube, and then I have to stream on Twitch. And then like, that's the challenge for me, is just figuring out how much energy I'm gonna dedicate for each area of my career, honestly.
The success speaks for itself, though, so all that hard work is paying off. But what about the stigma? Sim racers, we do not like change, right? We don't like people changing the way things are done. And you also do a lot of coaching. The stigma of, obviously you get the naysayers. Oh, who needs coaching? It's sim racing, it's gaming. How have you dealt with that?
With people who say they don't need coaching, I just don't deal with them. It's their problem. But like for people who want coaching, that's a totally different situation, because the challenge is for people who want coaching but can't sort of figure out like how to improve. So that's where I get in and okay, let's try to figure out like what you did, how you drove, how long do you drive, what are your bad habits and stuff. That's a totally different area. But I think for this stigma, man, I mean, if you want to get better, you will want to get better. If you put your ego on top of it, then you're gonna just stay on that plateau forever. So I work with whoever wants to improve. But honestly, that's a very good question, because a lot of people in the racing community still think that you are born fast. And there's a whole totally different, totally different story to that. But yeah.
I'm really excited to hear your story. Obviously, I've been there near the beginning, I guess. Not your beginning's a long time ago, but in terms of sim racing, I was there when it kind of started kicking off. I remember sending that message saying, if you push this, you are going to be huge in the industry. And, well, it's worked out quite well. But how did it all begin for you in terms of content creation?
Yeah, like, I feel like, first of all, I feel like a complete loser compared to these guys. One playing piano, one being journalist, and I just sold computers, and work, nothing.
It's a smile, that's the money, man. It's a smile.
Yeah, so, like, for me, it was the same. Like, I was all my life around the cars. I was very lucky when I was a kid, until, like, 12 years old. I was very lucky because my father had a company, and he was racing in a small racing cars. So I was basically brought into that environment, and when he stopped racing, because obviously racing is expensive, I was very influenced by it, and it was from all the sports and everything I ever done, the racing was like the number one. I was like always like a dream to achieve and do. And basically sim racing is like when you play like a World of Warcraft, like being like a role player, you're trying to be something else in a virtual world, you're trying to shift your persona into it. And sim racing for me is exactly the same, like I love it, I enjoy it, and I put basically everything into it. That's why people like some of my stupid videos and streams, because I have fun doing it, because it's my passion. And as you said, like a few years ago, I basically decided to do something different, because I was doing some esport, I was doing some hot laps since 15 years ago. And I started my channel with one purpose, basically just upload some hot laps to my friends to watch, but nobody cared, because when you're in a place at school where nobody cares about sim racing and cars, you're basically like,
Yeah.
like if you don't like football, you don't like football. It's the same with sim racing. And I was like, I would really like to at least have like 10, 15 people watch my video and say, you did a good lap, or something like that. And then I had a job where I had a lot of free time. And during that time, I started watching videos and YouTubes. And I literally started watching PewDiePie and started watching streams of Dr. Disrespect. And I was like, wow, this is like a really nice thing, like when they're like talking to people and they respond back, And I was like, maybe I should try something like that. And I started recording videos, starting talking over, starting doing webcam, and then it like changed a bit, and we are here.
Do you get the 10, 15 people telling you did a good lap now?
Yeah, I think, like 20, 30 now.
Incredible. So obviously for all of you it's a hobby, right? It started off as it's just a bit of fun. You didn't really expect it to go anywhere. But now, your name's in the industry. How do you deal with, first of all, being the spearhead of your own communities, and how do you deal with now brand integration? Of course, a lot of you are now, you're all involved with brands per se. How do you deal with that pressure? Start with you.
That's actually a good question. I try to be that bridge between the brands and community. So it comes naturally for us to all talk to each other to see what's the best way of building a product or trying it out. So I think one word is pretty good for this is called transparent. Just be transparent about everything, talk to your community, get the feedback, forward it to the brand, and see close the circle, let's say. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that the bridge is a very important point, because you can give feedback on both sides, and you can help develop. You can help like tweak and just make the community, just give the features that we actually need, and give the gamer's perspective, the details, and I think this could be like this and that, like this and that. It's also a responsibility, because you now represent a lot of people.
Yep.
And actually about that, I have a very specific thing. When I got into real life for the first time this year, I felt the pressure of a sim racer, because I was representing every sim racer who wants to one day race in real life in a battlefield full of real life racers who were pointing at me and saying, there's no reset button here. So the pressure is, I have to do well, otherwise I'm gonna, the name sim racer will be affected, because I am one of the, for now I will say few sim racers who are going to real life. I think this number is growing exponentially at this point, but this is difficult. This is difficult, but I mean, it's like a movie. You're living a movie, and you have like good stuff, and you have the difficult stuff as well.
Of course.
How did you do in the racing?
I can't. It was pretty good. I started being extremely. I panicked in the rain. I was super scared. I was feeling sick before the races, and as the year progressed, I was getting better and better and better, and understanding and creating the bridge between my muscular memory from the sim into the muscular memory adapted with the G-forces from the real car, and the pressure and the fear and the money. So at the end of the year, I got a win in an endurance race and 2 podiums and another podium, so 3 podiums. I can't complain. I can't complain, because I could have crashed so many times, and I avoided some crashes. I had some close calls, and this is actually cool, because once I was pushed off to the grass into a flat-out corner at 160 per hour, 160 kilometers per hour.
It's not ideal.
It's like, and then like. The muscular memory to save the car and not try to quickly get back and then wait until the car was in the tarmac and then finally pushing again, that muscular memory saved me from crashing, and that muscular memory came from sim racing. So sim racing saved my, I don't say life, but saved my, my car from that big crash, because if I didn't correct the right way, and I had one chance, one shot to correct the car, to save the car from the grass, I would smash the wall at 160 per hour.
Yeah.
So thank you, sim racing.
Yeah, it's all about repetition and muscle memory. Just repetition, repetition, repetition. Yeah.
Crash as many times as you can in the sand now.
Exactly.
I honestly believe that sim racers are much better drivers on the road and much safer on the road than everybody else, to be fair.
Yeah, Moritz Lohner said the same when he first went. He raced at Monza in the DTM Trophy, and he literally said there's no room left in. If there's a gap, someone's just sending it every single time, and it's thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds on the line with cars. And in sim race, he says it's just people are clean. They leave you room, like they have to be fully alongside you if they're going to commit, which is so strange. Back to the point though, Jardier. Obviously, your community is huge, massive, by the way. Huge community. You're dealing with a lot of brands these days as well. How are you finding the integration of going from fun to now you've got a lot more pressure on your shoulders? Big show.
To be fair, I have a quite problem with that because for me, sim racing is it's like a lifestyle for me because I do it for half of my life, and I love it every single day, and I literally take it as a hobby all the time. I know it pays bills right now or takes care of me or my family, but for me, it's mainly still a hobby. So I have a really trouble transferring from like a hobby to like, let's say, businessman with the brands and such. So I'm quite easy for the companies and everything, taking care. I'm like, yeah, sure, I will do it for free, one more, But no, I take like my main thing is like, after watching all those videos I watched a couple of years ago, like I take like a massive responsibility to, like, I'm like a people's guy. Like always was when I was doing my previous jobs. I was always trying to take care of the customer, and I still take the same. So I really pick companies very carefully to work with, because if I don't trust it, I will not work with it. And therefore, like obviously, it's good for one part, it's bad for one side, but I'm like feeling very responsible in that side because I really don't want to be like one of those people who get hated for selling crypto or something like that to the people. So I'm very, very happy how it behaves. And as you said, the community is absolutely loving and insanely good. So I think we are doing a good job so far and hope it will continue for many, many years to come.
So these three are doing so well in the space of sim racing and such a positive impact within the space of sim racing as well. But I just want to lightly touch on the impact of negative comments when it comes to YouTube and Twitch. Of course, we know specifically there's not as many negative comments as there are positive, but they're the loudest and they cut the deepest as much as you say, oh, we don't look at them. But how do you deal with that?
To be fair, like I would say it's better for me than it was at the beginning. But also, I feel like the more you grow, the worse it is in terms of hate. Because at the beginning, people just call you fat, and you're like, yeah, sure, whatever, But now they are going. But now, after you go up and up, they are going much deeper. So sometimes it's like, sometimes it hits. Sometimes I had like it's not happening every day, obviously, but I feel like that's one of the things that in this particular job you have to really work hard with, if being able to deal with this every single day, almost. So it's almost like when you're doing some office job and by the end of the day your boss tells you that you're absolutely terrible person and you suck and go somewhere, So I think in this it's very hard and I still am very hard working on it. I don't think I'm the best at this because sometimes when I'm streaming people leave some comment that I'm like taking too much eye on it. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And for 10 minutes I'm talking about this being stupid and always people tell me like to move on and such, but I think getting better and better. I think it's like you have to learn. It's also good to educate yourself in this way because obviously I think it's way worse when you're like a, let's say, model on Instagram or something like that. But yeah, you have to handle it somehow, you can't get it under your skin. And I think it's always like when you're working out, you have to work on this as well and educate yourself and just deal with it.
How do you know about the model on Instagram? Have you got a secret account that people know about? No?
I'm a Instagram hand model, secretly.
Lovely old job. Matej, off to you.
Just to make it easier for you, maybe you can call me Matthew. That's my English name, actually.
Am I saying
yeah. No, you're saying it right, but if you want to, you can use Matthew also.
Brilliant. Cool. Matej Matthew.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's basically the same translation. So yeah, I'm trying to make the conversations in the comments as constructive as possible. Funnily enough, the most common comment I get is, why do you brake with your left foot? Like, this is the type of yeah.
Everyone giggling.
Yeah.
Instantly, everyone like, of course.
I wish to get a hate like this.
I was really, really surprised by that comment. This is the most common comment, definitely, by far. Why do you brake with your left foot? Then I try to explain to them why and everything. Because we were all there in certain point in time, you know, where we had some basic or no knowledge about something, and then as you progress with age, with trying different stuff, you go slowly up and learn different things. That's why I always try to keep an open mind to new users, new commenters, let's say, who type stuff like that, to try to educate them, try to make a conversation more constructive. Because, for example, since I do a lot of hardware reviews, I get a lot of comments that are maybe negative towards brands because something broke or something is not up to their standard or something like that, because you always hear those negative ones. You don't hear those positive ones. That's the issue. And this is where I try to take that comment, try to make a conversation out of it and see what's actually wrong, forward that feedback to the brand and see what can be reprimanded, try to help them out in the future purchase. Or, you know, the most common thing I get in terms of those negative comments is my accent. I am talking English, so yeah, I need to work on it a little bit more, but this is something that doesn't bother me at all. So yeah,
I've been reading comments about Jardier for time, and I'm just like, this guy speaks incredible English compared to what their Czech would be. It blows my mind that you speak such good English, yet you still get stick for that. But it's always stupid comments, isn't it? It's always comments where if they just spent 10 seconds thinking, it would never have been posted. I'm really interested to hear your answer on the negativity here, because we're a little bit older, so we've got thicker skin, I guess. And no, I don't mean any disrespect by that, but being a bit younger, you know, you've probably not had to face it for as long. So how do you deal with it?
Actually, I think I learned something with my girlfriend some time ago. She said that whenever someone offends you, the problem is on the offender. Like the problem is on the person that is, like, why is that person throwing out a negative comment? Because that person is not happy with something. That person is like, it's just like that person is spending that much energy with something that is useless, you know? So whenever I get these negative comments, I figured out, okay, it's not me, it's like that person. Of course, there are some constructive negative comments. Hey, this is like this, technical negative comments. I will, of course, consider them and try to improve. But there are just comments like people saying that sim racers should never drive in real life, or I would probably beat you in real life, or, you know, like just, I don't know. I just don't really consider them that much. Sometimes there are disagreements, technical disagreements that are amazing. I think, honestly, it's necessary. Because I learn a lot, and I had like discussions with real life coaches in an Instagram reel. That was amazing, like the opportunity to reach such people all over the world. But the empty negative ones, I think you can just ignore. It's a little bit difficult. Sometimes it hits. Sometimes, like if you're not in a good mood and you get the notification on your phone and you just like someone attacking you, some random person attacking you, it hits you. And sometimes I even feel like responding with something also negative, but then nope, I'm not like that. Let's not do that. So it's part of the job, honestly. You can't run away from it. And the more people, you can also think statistically, right? If you have like 10K and 1% is negative, when you go to 40K, you're going to have 4 times more negative comments. It's just, you cannot run away from it. Just deal with it. Find your way to be good, because it's not going to stop.
No, absolutely. And I would go as far to say, as if you do receive negative comments on the internet, just look at it and think, if they had 10, 30 seconds where they thought about before pressing that send button, would they have sent it? They probably wouldn't have done. So yeah, that's what I would say on that remark there. Next question is, obviously we see you live, we see you in videos. What is the most important thing outside of what we see, behind the scenes, do you would say, for your success? Anyone? Yeah.
For me, it was probably my partner, Gabriela. She really helped me a lot, because I was having a job for very long. I had some jobs in my past. I'm old, obviously, so I obviously work a lot. And then I had a job for 5 years, and after end of the job, I started doing the videos, and I had 5,000 subscribers back in the day, and just doing this as a fun, as a hobby, making $100 per month, and then I basically stopped working in the job, and I was searching for something that I would replace that job with, and I was like, I really don't want anything else, you know, I really enjoy this, and she was like maximum supportive and taking care of me and really help in this area. So that was really nice because we had like a very safe home environment when it was possible.
It's great.
I would say for me, I just never get satisfied with what I do. I want more, I want to improve. Also, my musical background, I have a master's degree in piano, so I spent 16 years, every day had to be a little bit better than the day before. So this flow of being out of your comfort zone all the time and like trying to learn new stuff. So I think that's very important. I always wanted to study. Like I always wanted to watch other streams, for example, and see what they're doing, like how they're chatting, the positioning of stuff, and like the frame rate, like everything I'm always absorbing.
Dan Suzuki?
Yeah, the benchmark. The benchmark.
The biggest nerd in sim rate. We love him. Yeah.
So, and I did that for everything, for absolutely everything. I tried to combine knowledge from music, combine knowledge from other areas in Instagram, and then Twitch, and then YouTube, and then try to see how, I don't know, have the best output possible. I'm always reading. I'm always reading something about, I don't know, about how people work, how people's minds work. You know, how to, I don't know, like just how to communicate things as well. I think as a communicator, you really have to know how people are going to receive your message. So as a coach, it's very important to know the learning styles and all these little things. So I'm consistently studying. How can I improve so I can really deliver the best?
Yeah, for me, I was always interested in anything that runs on electricity and things with zeros and ones. I'm there, you know. So I'm always trying out new stuff, seeing how it works, comparing it to other things that are similar to it. But why is this better and this one is worse? So basically, it all comes down, for me at least, to preparation. You know, 90% of my job is preparation behind the scenes. This is everything that, especially when you have some data behind it, so you need to get everything in line so you can present it as objectively as possible so users themselves can make their own decision and not me pushing to a certain decision, just to have everything laid out, and so they can come to their own conclusion with everything that was presented in the video itself.
That's really good answers there, gents. A lot of your supporters are going to be watching in the broadcast now over on YouTube and indeed Twitch. Your content's changed dramatically from when you began to where you are now. What does the future hold for your channel? You know, what can the fans expect? Is there going to be any differences, or is it going to be more along the same lines?
Definitely a lot of more sim racing hardware and testing out, and I'm hoping to start actually racing on the channel and showcase that. So this is something I would really love to do, definitely, yeah. Because behind the scenes I do a lot of racing and I don't feature it on the channel itself. So I'm going to feature it definitely on Twitch and YouTube and start to race actually on the channel itself, yeah.
I'm really interested to find out how that will come about, actually. That's going to be
probably a lot of visiting to the barrier and crashing and, yeah, walls.
What's the future hold for you then, Jaroslav?
For me, it's, like my massive goal is to go back to real racing or do real racing. And thanks to sim racing and YouTube for the past 2 years, I've never been closer than before. So my main goal right now is very simple: lose like 30 kilos.
It's real simple. I know the struggle.
And I'm working on that, and then hopefully I'll get to the race car and try to represent the sim racing community even better.
Your post on Twitter about your little journey you're doing right now is very inspiring as well. So well done on
that. For me, I think it's still real racing, just like doing everything around real racing, but there's one thing that we will never, we will always know: sim racing has become a thing of its own now. So sim racing is not only preparation for real racing. Sim racing is preparation for sim racing, and the events, the competitions, it's all within sim racing. So I'm never leaving sim racing ever. It's my thing. But my goal, for at least short-term goal for 2023, is to keep racing real life, gather more information, improve as a driver, and improve as a coach. finish my book. I have to finish the book that is pretty much taken from my course. So racing in real life and improving as a coach as a overall goal for next year.
He's showing us all up here, lads, isn't he? He's so impressive. 10K club, iRacing potential?
For 2023, 9K.
9K?
Hopefully. 2024, who knows?
Is that the goal, though?
If I find the time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so Moritz, it took Moritz about 20 years, the way that he's driving so many races. So as someone who's kind of similarly in the space, obviously not to the success levels of you three here, I knew that it was a bit of a battle with family and stuff, trying to convince them that this was the way forward and, you know, there is a chance to make a living. How did you all deal with that discussion with your families, and how different was it?
The best way is to assimilate them. Make them to play, make them try iRacing, try Formula One, try all the games, make them a part of your journey. That's the best way of trying to convey what you're trying to do here. Yeah, definitely. For me, at least. Yeah. Thankfully, I didn't have any big roadblocks in that journey. So yeah. Because all of them in the end drive a car, so they can relate to a certain level. They can relate to me, definitely. Yeah. Especially when you touch a lot of people in terms of the community and see how you improved your community that you're into. So yeah. It makes sense. Everything makes sense. If it makes sense, everybody will understand, especially your family. Yeah.
I think for me, my lady basically saw the passion, and I think she just understood that it's something I will be part of our life. So I think that was the most important.
What about Mama and Papa, Jardier, though?
Sorry?
What about Mama and Papa?
I didn't have to care. I don't live with my parents, obviously, so they are not influencing my life in this area. So I'm very old, not like.
So they never had any
No, absolutely not. Like obviously, I remember back in when I was 18, or 16, my father hated when I was driving on a computer, right? Because the parents back in the day, I mean, probably still now, they don't really understand why you're spending so much time behind a computer. But I probably, if I would tell my father in 2005 that one day I'm going to be doing this for almost like a proper job, he would probably change his mood and also his aspect in this. So,
now your biggest fan, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, for me it was definitely talk with my lady, and we were talking about how important it is for me, and she understood it. For me, it's almost like wearing a clothes. It's just the sim racing is just mandatory for my daily life.
I would say I was a very lucky person because before doing piano, I was doing engineering.
And come on. Okay, this is ridiculous now.
Come on.
At this point, I think he's just making it up.
No, I swear.
Ray just giving you a list of things to say, I'm the most impressive young man in the world.
I was doing engineering, and at 3 years into the course, I told my parents, I want to quit and do music. And they were like, sure? And I was like, oh, okay, let's do it then. And so I did that, and they always supported me 100%, whatever I did. So when I switched from music to sim racing, I was already living in Canada on my own, and I was paying my own bills with coaching. So they saw it, and it was much easier this time, switching from music to. But I think support from my family, from my girlfriend, is always 100% positive. So I'm very lucky in this.
I so wish I was as switched on as you are at your age, because, yeah, very impressive indeed. Where do you see content creation in not just in your channels, as a future? Where do you see it going? Of course, 5 years ago, could you genuinely see this being a living? Probably not. But now it's just becoming so big that the viewing experience is becoming better with better platforms. Well, we could argue about platforms, to be fair, couldn't we, Jardier? But it is becoming a little bit easier to get into this space. How do you see the whole space as a whole growing, and where do you think we'll be in 5 years?
I think it evolves insanely quickly. What was viral 5 years ago was long-term YouTube. Then even last year was not that big, the short-term stuff. And then this year is all about short-term. YouTube went to shorts, Instagram went to reels to compete with TikTok. So it's completely, it's changing a lot. And I'm actually a little bit afraid that in 5 years, every video is going to be 1 second because of how short they're getting. But I think as our job is to understand the algorithm and play the game. Because if you don't play the game, you don't get the views. If you don't get the views, you don't get engagement and so on. So I think it's helping us find the right people who are really going to benefit from it. Like, I would say that most people who are here today eventually found the passion because of the social media that we have right now and the algorithm and everything. So I have no idea how it's going to be in 5 years, but that's literally my job, like to figure out and to learn every month what is changing and adapt with it.
It was also interesting to see what Formula One brought to the table in terms of the popularization of the racing, thus sim racing also. So starting with the Netflix, of course, and Drive to Survive, I think I saw a big influx of new sim racers just because of that, especially now when the season is off, you know. A lot of people are probably trying to fill that gap of no races with racing themselves between them. So yeah, it's also interesting to see how everything is slowly going into mainstream. Of course, yeah, this also means that we are probably going to have more content creators, more channels, more networking to do, which is always great, always good to spread the word, let's say.
I think for me, like one of the things, because I'm a bit older, I see the sim racing since 2003, 2004. And for me personally, I see the massive exponential growth in every possible aspect in sim racing in the past 3 years, especially obviously through the pandemic and everything. But I think it's also so much different because like 10 years ago when you watched sim racing, you saw, I don't know, Empty Box, one YouTuber, you saw probably Pablo, one streamer, and that was it. But now literally every second person is streaming their POV from the races on Twitch or on YouTube, and I think thanks to that, the growth of the sim racing overall is like really good. Also, we see the Expo itself, right? It's like, if you watch the Expo in, I think it was 2017, the first one, or 2016, and compare it to what it's now, it's unbelievable difference, you know. The brands, the companies, the sim racers going to real racing, Formula One drivers streaming on Twitch, you know, and racing and whatever. I couldn't never imagine 15 years ago that I would be racing in the same race with Charles Leclerc or something like that online and talking to him on voice chat or stuff like that, you know. So it's unbelievable, and I think in the 5 years, I think we're going to see way of more. And one hope I have is that we're going to see more and more sim racers driving in a real life, getting more and more opportunities, because 10 years ago you haven't seen any single sim racer driving in real life, you know. But now in the past 3 years we have so many, and they are proving that it's good.
Yeah, they're not just in the car, they're doing well.
Yeah, exactly. Like even from like, let's say, very amateur level, they are going to like high podiums and winning the races. And like, so you can see basically not only esport driver is very good, but also like a daily driver, let's say. And I think it's proving more and more in this. And I think in the 5 years we're going to see like a massive combination of real racing and sim racing if you're going to be going this way. And I think that obviously in terms of content, this is, as you said, like people are doing shorts and reels and everything. So it's basically like a daily thing for people to stream or post a video and such. So I think it's going to be insane what we're going to see in Sim Expo in 5 years.
I think you mentioned something cool. Like you said that like the sim racing is going to become a part of a prerequisite for real racing in the future. Think about a generation right now, like the kids that are like being born right now, they will start with sim racing and karting, not only karting. Possibly they will have even more sim racing than karting as a preparation for real life stuff. So think about Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, the two youngest ones that were heavy sim racers. So I think it's a shift that you can't run away from it.
I quite literally was having a conversation earlier on, again, not going to mention any names, where I was discussing the impact of sim racing and karting, and like, you know, the money involved in sim racing is far less than what you would have in karting. And we're seeing a lot of series in terms of, you know, for instance, the ADAC, they've got loads of different championships that kind of all linked with each other. You win one, you move up, and move up. And I would like to see sim racing be on level par with karting as an entry into, and I think we're seeing that. We're seeing the bridge of the gap. Anyway, I'm not here to listen to me. We've had some really good insight from you all, but now this is the real fun part. I want to hear the highlight of your career so far? What has been your favorite bit? You're probably just going to say all of it. But yeah, genuinely, what's been the highlight for you? And I guess what was the biggest reward or gratification that you made the right decision to take this up as a career? Anyone could take this. Unless you've had no highlights, guys. Well, off we go. Thank you.
I'm just thinking, everybody's like, trying to get that film. What was the highlight? Yeah.
Suellio's got like 8 degrees he's got to mention.
I have a phone call as a highlight. A phone call. Like, I remember the day, I remember the time, what I was doing. Like, just after lunch in my place, get my phone. Hey, do you want to race in real life? Just like that. Like, it's a guy, Mark Andres again from Apex V2R, which is a Canadian racing team. And V2R means virtual true reality.
Wow.
So
did you cry?
Almost.
Absolutely.
I'm very difficult. So he put me in a real car, coached me, and then said, okay, so you want to do a full season? And that was it. Like the guy like picked a sim racer and transformed me into a real racer. I think that was the biggest highlight. The second highlight is Logitech recognizing my work and really like solidifying my career as a main thing now in my life. Now I 100% can say that I work with sim racing. And thank you, Logitech, for that.
For me, highlight, I have several as well. Like I never realized when I was doing just racing and talking to people on a stream that somebody will text me that he was down in a life, having nightmares and mental issues, and then he just started watching my simple racing and driving, and then he said that it changed his life and helped him, and we got several of those messages, and it was almost on a potential of crying, because I remember like a few months ago I was at Spa 24 Hour and I had a guy approaching me and he said like that I helped him save his life because, and I personally don't understand how, but it's incredible to hear like that somebody likes watching this and doing this, and it's absolutely crazy, and it makes you even want to like do more and race more and stream more and such, because it was absolutely heartbreaking to hear, and obviously helping people in this way. And then highlight obviously was, well, for about 15 years I was trying to get back to real racing, and obviously real racing is very expensive and it was impossible, so I was trying to work myself in the jobs and try to get promotions, get more money from the jobs and such, and nothing really got me really close to the real racing, and until I started doing YouTube and started doing these things, and suddenly I also got a call and I was like, hey, do you want to drive Lamborghini, and I was like, what? And it's like, yeah, it's going to be just simple 5 laps in a Lamborghini, but I was like, oh, yeah, and I honestly, I'm a very emotional person, so I bursted into tears because...
I was going to ask.
Yeah, because, I don't know, like, it's like a little kid, when you're having a lollipop and somebody steals it away, or throw it away, and I had the same thing because the racing and sim racing is literally my whole life, and as I said, it's my lifestyle, it's like 30%, 50% of my day. And yeah, I got so emotional by that. I had to hug my girlfriend and cry onto her shoulder like a little baby, because it was just unbelievable, because finally, finally. And then a year later, I got a call from Porsche to do the same thing, but a little bit more like in a speed, and it was just, yeah, the same, absolutely. I was like, finally, at least something.
I'm still waiting on my call. Hopefully somebody will call me soon. Porsche, Lamborghini, Ferrari, which camera? Anyhow, I think I'm leaving my highlight basically each day. As I go, I can see that everything is moving forward, and this is basically as I progress, as I'm being the part of this community, everything is highlighted, everything is hyphened, everything is, you just want to push forward, go to that next step. So I assume that eventually I'll have a really cool story to tell, but for now it's being the part of the community and pushing forward, talking to people, talking to brands, and yeah, waiting on that call.
Well, I'm going to wrap this up. I've got one more question for you. I will say one thing. None of us have used the term influencer once during this, which I'm very proud of, because, what a word. No one likes that word, let's be honest. What would you give in terms of advice to your youngest selves before you even imagined getting involved with content creation?
I would say definitely start sooner. Like start sooner, don't think about it, just do it, enjoy the process. That's the most important thing, I think, yeah. Just enjoy the process. And don't get over yourself in terms of, don't releasing a content on a daily basis. It's all about mental health too. So yeah, definitely enjoy the process. And if you can, start sooner, yeah. Because if you're really passionate about it, and at a certain point in time, you're going to excel in what you do, just because you're passionate about it and you love what you're doing. So yeah, that's the key ingredient, I think, yeah. And be persuasive and don't give up.
I probably would say very similar to this, but at the same time, I'm like a believer that if something happens in your life, it's supposed to happen. So basically, I couldn't save myself that I should do it sooner. I would probably just say maybe educate yourself a bit more at the beginning, because it took me like a long time to understand some things, like let's say 2 years to understand some things. So I would probably just tell myself, get a book sooner and read more at the beginning. That really would help. But otherwise, I would leave it as it is, I guess. Maybe just leave the negative comments. Don't focus on that and continue.
Yeah, I actually something similar to what you said. I believe like if you change a little thing 5 years ago, it would affect the entire rest completely, like butterfly effect. So butterfly effect. So I would say
change. A floor in Sueillo. Finally.
Nothing. I would say change absolutely nothing. Just learn with everything, with every mistake, with every like victory. Just enjoy the process. I'm the happiest person alive, so I would say like change absolutely nothing right now.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say a massive thank you to all three of you for taking the time out on the stage. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of the Sim Racing Expo here in Nuremberg. And we will have a few more guests tomorrow joining us in terms of content creators. So, yeah, really good fun.